freedom fighter and social reformist. And her name is Dr. Muthulakshmi Reddy. 1947, August 15th, long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny. And in a few hours, we shall redeem that pledge, not wholly or in part, but substantially. Abdi Aramicharu, Jawaharlal Nehru, his freedom speech in 1947. And then they lowered the Union Jack and raised up the Indian flag. And that Indian flag had 30-40 names written on it. One of those names was a lady from Chennai. And her name was Muthulakshmi Reddy. We should know all these things. This is our heritage. ஏன்னா நீங்கள் என்ன பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் இங்கே இருக்கிற ஒவ்வொரு பெண்ணும் நீங்கள் தான் அந்த முத்துலட்சுமி ரெட்டியோட வாரிசுங்க, துர்காபாய் தேஷ்முக்கோட வாரிசுங்க. அதுக்கு உங்கள் மனசில் துணிவு இருக்கணும். Muthulakshmi Reddy was born to an Iyer called Narayanaswamy Iyer, and he fell in love with a Devadasi. Immediately the father's side completely ostracized. Very interestingly, Narayanaswamy Iyer's son was Ramaswamy Iyer, and Ramaswamy Iyer's son was Ganesan Ramaswamy, who is known to all of us as Gemini Ganesan. She later married a Reddy and became Muthulakshmi Reddy. She was born to an Iyer and a Devadasi. And they ostracized her, because she was born in 1886. Alright, so she, very bright child, and she goes to school, starts beating the boys there. And going to school itself was such a great difficulty, although her father was the principal of the school. And you must understand that this is not 1,000 years ago. It is 1886, 1890, barely 100, 130 years ago. She attained puberty, which these days people would just walk away, literally and pun intended, with a whisper and walk off. But they said, the minute she attained puberty, they said, you go back home, you can't study. It's just a physiological thing. It's bull. And she fought against it. She fought as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old. So she fought and continued her education against the wishes of everybody else. And of course, she topped in school. Tops in school and goes to college. Again, furor of protest. And she stood her ground. She stood her ground. And like Ajit said, you must all learn to say, no means no. She said no. And she went to college. And then, because she was extremely bright, the enlightened Maharaja of Pudukkottai, Tondaman, he sent her to Madras Medical College. And my dear young friends, this girl, whose mother was a Devadasi, was ostracized by her father, and who completely grew up with the Devadasi relatives, because she did so much for them later in her life, which I'll be telling you now. She became the first ever female medical student in the history of India. So not only was she the first woman medical student, she walked away with a hell of a lot of medals. Best outgoing student. She was the first woman house surgeon to work in the Institute of Obstetrics and Gynecology in good old Egmore. First one. Again, she swept all the medals. And then as a gynecologist, she goes to London, gets trained and comes back and has, you know how gynecologists are, huge practice. Throughout, she's thinking about the Devadasis. She's thinking about how they're being abused by the temple authorities, being abused by men all over. How can you have a group of people who are set aside for male sexual abuse? How can it be true? More than any caste abuse, the abuse of women by men is the oldest abuse known to mankind. And every one of you should fight against it. Put your feet down and fight against it. Even today, why are women getting battered? Vidadini. Muthulakshmi fought. And soon she decided, enough of doing medicine. Let me go into politics. And she ran, and she was the first known female MLA in the whole country. It was no Sarojini Naidu. Well before Sarojini Naidu, Muthulakshmi Reddy became the first MLA, first woman MLA in India, first female doctor in India, first Council for Social Welfare head in India. Ella first in India. Incredible woman. It's a woman who's just so many more things. Then, what does she do? Up one day she says, I must start helping women. Because I know how my aunties, my mother's side people, Devadasis, used to get battered and raped and whatnot. She starts helping them. A few women from the Devadasi women from temples run away and come to her and say, Naanga enga povom, enna pannu. And then this wonderful woman, she opened Avai Home. And Avai Home opened panni, inga Devadasi penduga yaar enga odanalum vaanga, na saapad podren. Vaanga, na ungalku vandu vocation kudukuradhu vandu at the advanced ripe old age of 33. She is able to do that. Then she found the same thing happening to Harijan girls. She didn't stop. If you go to there'll be multiple blocks in Away Home. She opened a block for Harijan girls who were running away. Then she found Muslim girls, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th wife getting hammered. She opened a block for Muslim girls, quietly. Muslims, Harijans and Devadasis. For 3 of them, she was like a goddess, fighting in parliament, fighting in legislation, fighting right through for them. Then she felt that the children, பிள்ளையை பத்திட்டு வெளியில போயிடுவாங்க. அந்த குழந்தையை பார்க்கறதுக்கு யாரும் இருக்க மாட்டாங்க. குழந்தை செத்து போயிடும். Infant mortality was so high in India. She is the one who insisted on opening the Kasturba Gandhi Hospital for Women and Children. Gosha Hospital சொல்றோம்ல, that was the brainchild of Muthulakshmi Reddy. She made so many changes in children's nutrition. She did so much for children. And she started so many vaccination programs. Because she was a doctor, she was able to bring that in. So that is Muthulakshmi Reddy. When she saw a lot of people struggling with cancer, first woman in India, probably in the world, to create a cancer foundation. And that cancer foundation took root in that 50 or 100 acres in Adyar, that area, and became the Cancer Institute. And today, 80,000 people a year, 80,000 cancer patients a year are treated in the Adyar Cancer Institute thanks to the genius and the thing of Muthulakshmi Reddy. You know, the Constitution of India is one of the greatest documents ever scripted. Ambedkar was the head of the Constituent Assembly and it was scripted over 1.5 to 2 years. The Constituent Assembly, one group of people, 284 people or something, wrote the Constitution of India. All men except one woman. And that one woman was from Chennai. She was Durga Bai Deshmukh. You are sitting in Ethiraj. You are so lucky to be studying in a college which was dedicated to women in 1948. Hats off. So Durga Bai Deshmukh then married the first Reserve Bank of India chairman, Mr. Chintan Deshmukh. At the advance, she was 40 plus years when she married him, and she had only one witness for her marriage. That was the Prime Minister. Jawaharlal Nehru came and signed for them. In the guts of it. So she created this Andhra Mahila Sabha to look after Telugu women and children. Durga Bai Deshmukh did Andhra Mahila Sabha. யாரு நம்மள பிரிவினை பண்றது? தமிழ் ஒண்ணு, இங்கிலீஷ் ஒண்ணு, ஹிந்தி ஒண்ணு, அதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணும் இல்ல. We're all one country. Ek Bharat, as our Pradhamar says. Ek Shrestha Bharat. Powerful, big country. That's what we are. Never forget that. So Durga Bai Deshmukh did so much for all of you to study. Set up Andhra Mahila Sabha. Set up Durga Bai Deshmukh Hospital. Indeed, she called it Andhra Mahila Sabha Hospital. After her time, they set it up as Durga Bai Deshmukh Hospital and continued to serve the country completely in so many ways. And she, both in her personal life and the public life, she only thought of you. Only thought of you. What will happen to the next generation of women? They should be able to study. You know, she fought for all of you so that in the IAS, IPS, there would be recommendation for you. And now wherever I go, I'm seeing collectors, I'm seeing IGs, I'm seeing IAS officers, I'm seeing IPS officers, everybody female. And that should happen because this is the dream of Durga Bai Deshmukh, dream of Muthulakshmi Reddy, dream of Thellayadi Valliyamai, dream of Nachennayar, who wrote that in Purnanuru, dream of Chellamal Bharati. In the Portha Verico, every one of you is not just a student, you are the future. And you need to get these things into your head. Just keep quiet, let it go inside. These thoughts will go inside. Nothing can change you like thoughts. Let those thoughts go inside. Yosinga Adapati, Ulvangaga, Marunga, and the world is yours. Jai Hind.